Alrighty. See if we can't find the stream. Shouldn't be too far away. Twitch usually cooperates pretty well, but you never know. Yeah. There's the stream there. The audio is working as it should. Stream's up, the chat's up, we're all good to go. Fantastic. Well, hello everyone and welcome to round 8 of the AM1 Championship here on Contest of Speed. I'm Lane Everingham, your commentator for this event, and this time we're racing at Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps for the Belgian Grand Prix. It's one of the most legendary racetracks of them all, created in 1921 and has undergone many layout changes over the decades. Spa in its current form is a 4.35 mile, 19-turn circuit that has a reputation of being one of the most demanding and fearsome on the Formula One calendar. Every part, every corner on this circuit has the potential to ruin someone's day, especially the turns that have brutal, unforgiving autospin curbs lurking within them. Corners such as Turn 5's Les Combes and Turn 10's Pouhon. Both corners are common places for drivers to spin out. Other areas include Turn 9's No Name, the S section of Turns 12 and 13, the exit curb at the fast right-hander of Turn 15, and of course the track's signature section, Eau Rouge and Raidillon. It's a section that really needs no introduction. Everyone knows what it's capable of. Overtaking will be mostly limited to the DRS zones that lead down the pit straight into Turn 1's La Source and down the Kemmel Straight into the best overtaking spot at Turn 5. Once again, we have slight overcast conditions for both qualifying and the race, so hopefully we get to see some entertaining stuff out on track. But before we focus on qualifying, there is a little bit of news to go through first from the previous round at the Red Bull Ring. Only one incident report, one that we actually caught on stream between Aboud and JD TV8, where Aboud fails to give room to JD, who ultimately ends up spinning and resulting in the retirement of a driver. The penalty being for Aboud is a 20-second time penalty, which demotes him from P2 on the podium down to P7 in the final results. There's also other penalties involving Aboud and JD for crossing the pit lane white line on entry. They both got 5 seconds as a result, but JD, he retired out of the race, so that penalty doesn't affect him. In the Drivers' Championship, Andy Wu is leading on 82 points, followed by Barmer on 75, then Rick Dalton on 55. Mitch Burns is 4th on 52, just 3 points behind. Then in 5th is Nicholas Latifi on 46. Completing the table, we have Elliott in the McLaren, followed by P-Dog Payton, then Bursey, Elite Game Boy, then JD. In the Constructors, McLaren are leading on 123 points. They've got a fairly comfortable margin to Ferrari, who are on 98. So 25 points separating those two at the top. Williams are 3rd on 83, followed by Red Bull on 71, then Alpine. Completing the table, we have Alfa Romeo, followed by Mercedes, Aston Martin, Haas, and AlphaTauri at the bottom of the table. That's pretty much it in terms of news. We can now focus on what should be an interesting qualifying session. Spa is a pretty well-known racetrack. We've done plenty of races here over online league racing history, so everyone knows this place. Hopefully we do get to see an interesting quali session. Just looking at Express right now, who's making his way down out to turn 7 towards Rivage, the downhill hairpin-like sweeper of turn 8. There's a slight bit of negative camber. You do have to be a bit careful there because the road wants to push you away from the racing line. As Scornsey, who is a new driver, I believe, if I remember watching the chat, has just left the session. He's currently in the Haas, so hopefully he'll be able to rejoin as soon as possible. Rick Dalton sets the benchmark time, 1 minute 42.098. No cap, he goes second. And the other Williams with a 1 minute 42.895. He is 8 tenths off Dalton's time. Did he set that on the mediums? Oh, he said that on the soft tyre. Okay, well, I'm sure he's got more pace to find over the course of this qualifying session. Barmer's third on the medium tyre, make that fourth with a 43.7. He was beaten by Mitch Burns, who set a 43 flat. Express here will cross the line to set a 44.269, currently slowest out of the time set. Right here in the Alfa Romeo making his way through turns 12 and 13. Those inside curves are rather troublesome. You do want to keep your distance from them. Around turn 14, the final corner in the middle sector. Ooh, losing the back end there, but keeps the car under control. Had to be very careful here at turn 15. I myself had a nasty accident in a league race here at that very corner. So you do have to be awfully careful there. Dream on the flying lap as well, making his way around Blanchimont in dry conditions. This is a nothing corner. In wet conditions, it's definitely a corner. It's a very treacherous corner. You have to be awfully careful. Ray will cross the line, set a 45.3. Dream will be the next car to cross the line to set a 44.1. Goes in front of his teammate by a tenth and a half. Just under a tenth and a half to be exact. Get rid of the tyre graphic for now, just to increase space. At any point for the past 4 hours I've been at home, my body could have told me to... Mate, your body does whatever it wants to do. I've had that exact feeling before as well. So you've either got to do it right now, or just hold it in, mate. I'm sorry. But when nature calls, and it's up to you to respond. And you've got ample time. You've got 11 minutes left in qualifying to do what you need to do. Or you can ride it out throughout the rest of the race. Or until you crash. Either or. Fatal making his way through the bus stop chicane. Second gear. Nice and gentle on the power. He'll open DRS and cross the line to set a 44.5. Ah, fair enough. See? Got to do it now. Well, unfortunately for you, you will have a slightly shorter qualifying session, but I'm sure you'll be able to put some time on the board. Yeah, mate. Weight reduction, that's what it is. That's where the R&D points are being spent on oh, dearing me, as Nicholas has a huge moment at No Name. Lost it on the outside curb and put it into the inside wall. Well, he's just gone through some weight reduction himself, but unfortunately, that weight reduction won't do him any good. So he'll have to get back into the pits and fix that front wing. Vermeer making his way through Eau Rouge and Radillon, flat out in 8th gear, about 190 miles an hour all the way through the section, and I can tell he's in the Bottas mobile too. You can tell from the helmet. He's entering Lake Om, turns 5 and 6, easily the best overtaking spot on the circuit, around turn 7, then down the hill towards Rivage, turn 8. Bringing it down to 3rd gear, back on the power, nice and easy. 4th gear, now 5th, into No Name, keeping it in 5th gear, using a healthy amount of curb, not losing control of the car, unlike Nicholas Latifi. Around Pouhon, turns 10 and 11, very fast, very demanding bit of racetrack, very easy to get it all wrong. Into the chicane sweeper-like section of turns 12 and 13, and down the hill. Around turn 14, this will complete the middle sector. It's now heading around turn 15, flat out, be careful of that outside curb. You'll head around turn 16, this fast left-hander. That leads into Blanchimont, turn 17. Flat out at 193 miles an hour. You'll head into the bus stop chicane. The final 2 corners on the racetrack, turns 18 and 19. Taking him in 3rd gear, not bothering to use 2nd, fair enough. Or running extraordinarily wide on the exit. He'll set a 43 flat. I reckon you can find a 10th if you straighten up that exit a bit more. So that's a pretty respectable time there from Vermeer. Well done. Nice tidy lap from the Mercedes driver there. Around turn 8 goes P-Dog Payton. One of 5 drivers yet to set lap times. Lopez is getting ready to set a flying lap. In fact, he's just started it now. Payton makes his way around Puon, turns 10 and 11. Really want to try and avoid that inside curb at turn 10. Nasty curb. Through turns 12 and 13, it's a similar story. Though you can ride the inside curbs, you just have to be very, very careful. Around turn 14, completing the middle sector, you make his way around turn 15. Get right up towards that curb, not bothering to use any of it though, which is probably a wise thing to do. Yellow flag's about. That's one of the Alpha Tauris. I think it's green? Nope, it's Express. He's at the GT pit lane exit. Pit lane exit that they use for the 24 hours of Spa. One of the biggest GT events on the GT calendar. As Payton goes 9th fastest, just behind his teammate, setting a 1 minute 43.675. Dalton is way out in front. Look at that. 42 flat, beating a 42.8 from his teammate who was up by 16 thousandths. As Dalton spins out into the wall. That's at Lake Om. Turns 5 and 6. Oh, and hello, Petter. Hello. He's back from his weight reduction process that he just went through. Fatal goes through. Barmer jumps up to second with a 42.6. No cap. Oh, has just invalidated. And he's up by 4 tenths. Oh, man, I've done that a few times myself. Turn 14. You just run that little bit too wide and the game does not care. It will give you a warning. And there goes your wonderful lap. Mitch Burns, meanwhile, yet to invalidate. He's making his way out of turn 8 into turn 9. You can tell from the flashing red icon on the telemetry, he is very low on fuel. So he'll either try and complete this lap or duck straight into the pits. Slow-moving Alfa Romeo. That might be Ray, who was on an out lap, getting ready to set a flying lap. Through the S section of turns 12 and 13, up towards turn 14. What does the middle sector say for Mitch? It says he's up. He's lost a little bit of time to his personal best, but he's still up overall. There's an Alpine travelling slowly, getting out of the way. It's P-Dog Payton. He'll be going back into the pits in a few moments' time. Up towards the bus stop chicane, hard on the anchors. He brings it down to third gear, clobbering the inside curbs at both corners. Oh, the tail end not cooperating on the exit. He crosses the line. Oh, he misses out on improving by 1,000th of a second. Basically matched his previous best. Through Puon, goes no cap. Out of turn 11. Shifted into 8th gear. He'll enter the chicane. Bringing it down to 4th. Oh, riding that inside curb. You can see there the back end not cooperating at all as Profodes jumps up to P3 with a 1 minute 42.883. Beating No Cap by 12 thousandths of a second. Elite Game Boy. I think... Yeah, he's not on a push lap. He's not on a push lap. Express has invalidated. Blade has invalidated. Fatal's up by almost a tenth to the first sector. Cameron has joined the session with only 5 minutes left. And there goes Ray spinning on the inside curve, damaging the front wing. He's taken off. I have rarely seen this before. Typically when a wheel is taken off, it's one of the front ones. And this time it's the rear tyre. Came off. I didn't think he hit the wall that hard, but well, there you go. He did. Kitten Petter completing his first flying lap out of the bus stop chicane in 4th gear. You can see the back end cooperating quite well there. 43 flat. In fact, he set the exact same time as Mitch Burns, but it's put Mitch in 6th rather than in 5th. See, if this happened in real life, Mitch would be in P5 because he set that lap time first. But anyway. And hello, KD. Nice to see you in the chat too. No. Look at that. The exact same lap time. Fantastic. Profodes is going back into the pits. Andy Wu, our championship leader. Yeah, he's not on a push lap. He's currently 9th though. Blade making his way around turn 14. There's an Alpine getting out of the way. It's Elite Game Boy as Blade is up by 7 tenths to the middle sector. Slow moving Aston Martin in front, who was taking out the Aramco boards on the side of the road. It's Mitch Burns. Down towards the bus stop chicane. Entry speed 194 miles an hour. Apex speed just over 50 miles an hour at the apex of turn 18. Back on the power in fourth gear. He'll cross the line to set a 43.8, 12th quickest for the Alfa Romeo driver. Lopez on a flying lap, making his way down the Kemmel Straight, hitting a peak speed of 201 miles an hour. 202 I saw briefly there, through turn 5. Then turn 6 into turn 7. Fifth gear, back on the power, using the outside curb, losing control but catching it well. Around turn 8, the downhill sweeper. Fourth gear on the exit. Then up to fifth, through No Name. The back end not cooperating on the Aston, but he keeps the car on the racetrack and doesn't invalidate his flying lap. Around Pouon, turn 10. Then into turn 11, essentially a continuation of Pouon. Through turn 12, fifth gear, back on the power, just briefly keeping it in fifth around turn 13. There's a Williams just in front around turn 14, keeping it in fifth, using just a little bit of curb on the outside. Around turn 15, doesn't use any of the curb on the outside, very wise there. That's either Dalton or No Cap who was on an out lap getting ready. Around Blanchimont. Up towards the bus stop chicane, 8th gear. He'll bring it down to 3rd, then 2nd. And actually, interesting. So he isn't going to try and complete this flying lap. He's going to have another go. That's why he took a very awkward line around the final corner. He's trying to maximise straight line speed down the pit straight as Mitch Burns retires in the pit lane. So his qualifying session is done. Vermeer getting out of the way. No Cap beginning a flying lap through Eau Rouge. Then Radion, which has been reprofiled for 2022. It'll be interesting to see what the new Eau Rouge and Radion is like in F1 22. Barmer is up by 3/10 to the first sector. He's coming up to the middle sector split. In order to take pole position, he needs to find about 5.5 tenths. He's found just under 4, so he needs a pretty mega final sector to try and challenge Rick Dalton, who is set a 42.098. That's actually the very first lap time he set in this qualifying session. Up towards the bus stop chicane, bringing it down from 8th to 2nd gear. Back on the power in 3rd gear, 4th gear, 5th gear. Crossing the line, it's not enough. He did improve by almost half a second. He sets a 1 minute 42.147, missing out on pole by half a tenth. Preferred's getting ready to set a flying lap. Actually, he's begun one. No Cap's up by 4/10 to the middle sector. What about Dalton? He's making his way through the middle sector. He's currently up on his previous best by 38 thousandths of a second. No Cap making his way towards the bus stop chicane, the final 2 corners on the racetrack. 2nd gear, back on the power, short shifting to 3rd. He'll open DRS, head towards the line. It's a 1 minute 42.399. He too improves by half a second, goes 3rd quickest. Dalton up by 2/10. We got a stopped Mercedes at Pouon, turn 10. Dalton heading towards the bus stop chicane, bringing it down to 3rd gear, keeping it in 3rd through this tight, twisty chicane. Cameron goes 3rd quickest with a 42.3. Dalton does a 41.786 as Vermeer has been disqualified for being parked in a dangerous location. So that's the Mercedes that has stopped at Pouon. So he'll start from the back. But no, what a lap from Dalton, a 41.7. Preferred's up by just under a tenth and a half. Currently P6. He's got Racing Fan, who just jumped up to 5th place with a 42.842. Coming out of Blanchimont towards the bus stop chicane. Did hard on the brakes. 1st gear. Keeping it in 1st gear. Short shifting to 2nd, then 3rd, then 4th gear. He'll open DRS and cross the line. Take P5 back with a 1 minute 42.639. Game Boy, his session is done. Peyton, his session is done with a slight bang at pit entry. And I think that's qualifying over. Yeah, Barmer goes back into the pits. So it's Rick Dalton on pole position with a 1 minute 41.786. Who was beaten Barmer 22, who set a 1 minute 42.147. Cameron, who joined late, third quickest in the session with a 42.635. Not a bad lap considering he joined very, very late with only 5 minutes remaining or so. No Cap 4, followed by Prefodes, then Racing Fan, Kitten Petter, and Mitch Burns, who didn't end up improving either driver, so they set the exact same lap time at the end of qualifying. They'll start P7 and 8. Game Boy 9th and Andy Wu, our championship leader, 10th. Yeah, it's quite a quite the sight, Petter, when you see Dalton a full second ahead of you. He looks awfully fast here at Spa. You reckon Abood? Rick to crash on lap 2, then Barmer to win. Oh, that's exactly what happened at Austria. Nice to see you in the chat, by the way, as well. But, I'm sure Rick learned from his mistakes at Austria, and he will be doing his best not to repeat them. But look at that, 3.5 tenths. That's pretty big for Spa. Like, Spa, it's a 4.3 mile racetrack, or 7 kilometres. But it's a very fast racetrack, and everybody knows this place. So yeah, that's a pretty big gap at the end. Barmer P2, Cameron 3rd. Like, from P2 down to P9, it's 1 second. Andy Wu completing the top 10. Outside the 10, I didn't mention. Fatal, we have Payton in 12th, Blade in 13th, Dream and Express are 2 AlphaTauri drivers in 14th and 15th. Nicholas Latifi, Lopez, Ray, Scornsey in the Haas, and Vermu, who got himself disqualified, will start from the back. But that new driver, Scornsey, I was reading in the AM1 chat, I actually know him. He's formerly known as Mystic Joker, and I've commentated a few races with him. He's a pretty quick driver, so I'll be interested to see how he fares over the course of this race. You can see as well slightly overcast conditions, but we shouldn't be seeing any rain. The strategy here is fairly simple. It's either soft medium or medium soft. Soft tyre lasts a solid while, about maybe 8 to 11 laps or so it can last. Medium tyre doesn't wear out at all. Hard tyre is pretty useless around here if I remember correctly, so I don't think we'll be seeing any drivers on the hard compound tyre for the start of this race. There's a session counter, so we got 25 seconds until the formation lap. Drivers will be fine-tuning their setups, deciding how much fuel they want to have in their cars, deciding what lap to pit for their preferred strategy, and praying to the racing gods that they don't crash on lap 1. Because here at Spa, that's a very easy thing to do. Righto, let's get this formation lap underway and let's see who's starting on what tyre. So again, starting on pole position is Rick Dalton. He'll be starting on the soft compound tyre just like everybody else inside the top 10. He also has the inside line for turn 1, so even if he gets a poor start, he has the opportunity to send it down the inside to try and keep the lead at the exit of turn 1. Got Barmer P2, then Cameron, No Cap, Prefodes, Racing Fan, Kitten Petter and Mitch Burns, Elite Game Boy, and Andy Wu. That's the top 10, and they're all starting on worn tyres from qualifying. Outside the 10, first driver we have is Fatal in the Haas. He's starting on the mediums. Same with Payton in 12th and Blade in 13th place. The 2 AlphaTauris have gone with the same strategy. They're both starting on the soft compound tyre in P14 and 15. Nicholas Latifi, who had a troublesome qualifying, is starting 16th on the medium compound tyre. Lopez is next on the soft tyre. Same with Ray. So both... No, sorry. The Alfa Romeos, they've got alternate strategies. So one of them starting on the mediums, the other starting on the soft tyre. Similar story with Haas, with Fatal and Scornsey. So Scornsy starting on the soft compound tyre. Vermoo starting at the back of the field. He's starting on the medium compound tyre. So we got 5 cars on the mediums, 15 on the softs. Be interesting to see who gets it right in terms of strategy. Those soft runners, particularly outside the top 10, they want to be nice and aggressive at the start. Try and get up towards the top 10, try and make moves. For the medium runners, they need to try and keep up with the top 10, make full use of those medium compound tyres. Probably make full use of DRS as well. Rightio, the drivers are making their way towards the bus stop chicane, so the AI will take over control of their cars very shortly. Get this race underway. Get rid of the tyre graphic. Just leave the interval graphic up. Drivers now making their way back onto the grid. So again, Dalton will be starting on the inside for turn 1. He's on the dirtiest side of the racetrack, so theoretically speaking, he'll get a worse start compared to Barmer. Barmer on the cleanest side. It's more rubbered in. He'll have more traction off the line, but he'll have the outside run for turn 1, which is less than ideal for a hairpin like La Source. All 20 cars are lined up, ready to go. We've got 22 laps in front of us here at this mighty racetrack. We got 10 red lights. And we are underway here at Spa-Francorchamps. It's a nice start from Dalton. It's a nice start from Profodes. And the other McLaren, he's looking to the inside. Can't get the job done, though. Oh, I think there was contact between Cameron and Profodes. He now slots in behind No Cap in the Williams. Running wide is an Aston Martin. I do think that's Mitch Burns, who drops down to 10th. Through Eau Rouge and Radillon for the first time in race conditions. Everybody trying to get through unscathed. Fairly trouble-free start. Really impressive to see. Really nice to see. Barmer trying to follow Rick Dalton into Lake Holm. Oh, Cameron gets close. Andy Wu gets by his teammate Kitten Petter. That was for P6. Midfield making their way through the Lake Holm complex. Pretty trouble-free. Yeah, really, really good to see. Into the sweeper of turn 8. The tight sweeper of turn 8. Around turn 9, No Name. Midfield very tightly bunched together. No one would want to make a mistake, otherwise it'll take out probably a few other people. Through Pouon, everybody getting through. Oh, this is awesome. No one really getting into trouble. Scornsy at the back though, he's now got a 1 second gap to Vermoo. Needs to try and catch up as best he can. Oh, this is fantastic. No one's really got into trouble, from what I could see. Saw a few drivers wide here and there. We saw that potential collision between Cameron and Profodes. The camera angle didn't really suggest anything between the two. I just saw Profodes go awfully slowly at the apex of turn 1. So they might have collided, they might not have. Dalton leading the way with a 3/10 margin over Barmer. Around La Source they go. Then down the hill towards Eau Rouge and Radillon. Cameron following suit just half a second behind. Then Dalton's teammate No Cap is 4th, followed by Barmer's teammate Profodes in 5th. The 2 Ferraris are next, followed by Racing Fan. Fatal is 9th, then Mitch Burns completes the top 10. Down the Camel Straight we go. No DRS available just yet, but that won't stop Barmer from closing in. Looking to the inside, trying to go for the move, but can't quite get it done. Around turn 7, then down the hill towards turn 8. Ray is overtaken Peyton. Kitten Petter. Oh, hang on. Something's happened to Andy Wu. Our championship leader is around. Oh, and into him goes Ray, I believe. Yeah, Ray went straight into the side of Andy Wu. Our championship leader is out of the Belgian Grand Prix. And an explosion of carbon fibre. And it seems that, oh, hello, Dream's arriving onto the scene. There goes Andy Wu's car teleporting into the Shadow Realm. So Dream obviously got into trouble on the first lap. He must have boxed. Went on to new tyres. towards Blanchimont. Half a second separating the top two. They head towards the bus stop chicane. Cameron's now 1 second back. Into said chicane, turns 18 and 19. Barmer, you'll have DRS down the Camel Straight. On this lap, it's now lap 3 of 22. Barmer looking racy. Into La Source we go. Cameron closing in just a little bit, so he might get DRS in a few moments' time. And I think he will. The gap's well under a second. Through Eau Rouge. Then Radillon. Down the Camel Straight. And here comes Barmer 22. Dalton cannot do a thing. And through goes Barmer into the race lead. I don't think we've had any other changes of position. I see one here. Mitch Burns closing in, looking around the outside, and he gets it done. Nice move there from Burns. He's into 8th. And Ray goes into the pit lane to get their car fixed. After we saw what happened between Ray and Andy Wu, Ray completely destroyed their front wing, so they have to get it fixed. Simple as that. Vermeer putting Peyton under a bit of pressure here into Pouon. He's right on the back of Peyton. Loses a little bit of time thanks to the dirty air. In fact, he lost about half a second to Peyton through that one corner alone. Dirty air on full display there through that very technical corner. 6.5 tenths separating the top two. This battle at the front is definitely not over. Obama appears to have pretty good speed in that McLaren. But the leading train consists of 5 cars. We've got Barmer at the front of it, Rick Dalton in 2nd, Cameron in 3rd, No Cap in 4th, and Profodes in 5th. Then it's a 1.9 second gap back to Kitten Petter in the Ferrari. He's got a bit of catching up to do, and it won't be easy without DRS. He's going to lose a fair bit of time down the Camel Straight. He has to try and find back in the middle sector. Onto said Camel Straight. Dalton won't be close enough to attack, but he will close the gap up by quite a bit here. The gap was about 7.5 tenths. It's now 4 tenths as Peyton has spun. Oh, and Lopez has spun too. So 2 cars getting into trouble here as Latifi gets by Express. That was for P12. Peyton, has he got a damaged wing? No, his car looks alright. What about Lopez? His car looks okay too. So maybe both drivers got away with it. Consider themselves quite lucky. Lopez a 3-second time penalty, the first of which for any driver tonight. And I can assure you he's not going to be the last driver to get a 3-second time penalty this race. Around Stavelot, turn 15. Be careful of that outside curb. Nasty stuff, that outside curb. Up towards Blanchimont. Turn 17. Gap half a second. Cameron now 1 second back. No Cap in 4th. This leading train starting to spread out just a little bit though. Dalton has closed in. Almost on the gearbox of Barmer's McLaren. Oh, losing the back end there at the bus stop chicane. Lost a little bit of time, but he will gain it back with DRS down this main straightaway. Out to La Source. Very nice run there from Dalton. He closes in just a little bit. Here's the DRS detection zone. Through Radillon. Ray a 3-second time penalty. There's another one. Peyton is into the pit, so he did get damage. Just couldn't quite see it. Down the Camel Straight. 3 tenths, 2.5 tenths, 2 tenths. Peyton's retired in the pit lane. So he's had enough already. Around turn 7, down the hill towards turn 8. Half a second still separating the top two. Cameron just within a second of Dalton. Needs to stay there for as long as he can. No Cap 4th. Profodes. Then Kitten Petter, 2.5 seconds back. Been unable to catch up to the top 5 without the help of DRS. Racing Fan in 7th. Mitch Burns in 8th. Then Game Boy. Fatal. Little train here for 9th. As Ray retired. I think he's Crashed. Yeah, he has. That's at the exit of the final corner and we have a virtual safety car. The leaders are making their way through the final sector. Depending on how long this stays out, a few drivers might be tempted to pit in now and take advantage of this VSC. Find out in a few moments. When will the VSC disappear? Quite interesting. Over the span of 5 laps. Oh, well, there it goes. And Dream's got a drive-through penalty for speeding on the VSC. So, relatively short one. As Cameron goes into pit lane. Interesting. So, he's electing to pit anyway. Round turn 1. Dalton's close. Not close enough. No front wing change for Cameron either. So, that's a strategic stop from him. Train of cars here. We got Mitch Burns at the front of the queue. And I don't think he'll have DRS down the Camel Straight either. So he might be a tad bit vulnerable. Dalton closing in. Where will he look? He's looking, but he won't commit to a move. Fair enough. I don't think it was quite close enough anyway. Game Boy not quite close enough either to attack Mitch Burns for 7th. Got Fatal just behind and Blade in 10th. Nicholas Latifi at the back of the train in 11th. And it's a 3-second gap to Vermeulen in 12th. Cameron now down in 13th. He has to make use of the clear air he's got. He needs to get by as many drivers as possible without losing too much time. And Lopez, Express. Scornzi? Or is it Scorenzi? Just realised that I might have been pronouncing it wrong through qualifying. Scorenzi. That sounds more right. Scorenzi. Anyway. Up towards the bus stop chicane. Half a second separating the top two. Dalton might be just trying to play a patient game here. We've got plenty of laps in front of us. Don't need to be attacking right now. And No Cat's just behind watching the show. Just trying to keep up with the top two. Profodes has lost 2.1 seconds to No Cap as Racing Fan goes into the pits to get off these soft compound tyres. Medium tyres at the ready. Up go the jacks. No front wing change or front wing adjustment, and away he leaves. Dalton closing in down the Camel Straight. There's No Cap. Then there's Profodes. So the top four, McLaren, Williams, McLaren. Very 1990s, 1980s sort of stuff. It's cool to see. Express retiring in the pit lane. So we're down to 16 cars now. Two drivers having enough of this race very quickly. Down the hill, around turn 9, No Name. Game Boy still applying a little bit of pressure to Mitch Burns. But Mitch is holding firm in 6th place. Rampu on turn 10, then turn 11. Fatal, he's currently the leading driver who started on the medium compound tyre. Currently P8, he looks pretty good right now. Blade, Latifi behind. P9 and 10. 3-second gap back to Vermeulen. And Cameron has closed in by quite a bit. He's now just 1 second behind Vermeulen in 12th. Back up towards the front. As Barmer pits. Oh, he almost put the car into the pit wall. A pit entry. Very easy to do. It's a very tight, very cumbersome. Oh, it's going to be a double stack from McLaren. So Preferreds is going to lose time here. Just a little bit of time. Maybe a 10th or two. Oh dear. I think he'll still come out 4th provisionally. Yeah. He's losing a little bit. Peta coming out of the pits. Dream, I think, has spun. Yeah, and he's destroyed his front wing too. So he smashed the wall. You can see the debris off in the distance. So he'll have to pit and get that fixed. Dream getting by Game Boy. Game Boy getting swamped here. He's dropped down to 6th place. Latifi gets in front. Blade gets in front. Fatal now at the front of the queue. They got a 10-second gap to the McLaren Williams duo of Dalton and No Cap. They head through turns 12 and 13. Dream will pit and proceed to retire from the race. We're down to 15. It's not the most impressive thing to see. It's always a bit disheartening to see drivers retire, especially when we're not even at the halfway mark. But I do understand it can get incredibly frustrating when nothing is going your way. You've got to just keep digging. Just keep hoping that luck will shift, go your way. Dalton into the pits. No Cap will stay out for another lap. So, be a set of medium tyres ready for Dalton. The key card to look out for is Barber in the McLaren. He's currently 9th. His Game Boy pits as well. Barber, look at that. He's going to pass Dalton easily. That's the power of the undercut, I suppose. And there goes Barber into 7th. He's got a comfy margin of 8/10 to Dalton. Both cars will have DRS here. Open DRS and slingshot by. Blade has overtaken Fatal for 2nd place as well. Now, ooh, bit of weaving there. Now Dalton has to put up with Vermeulen. He won't be an easy guy to pass, especially through this middle sector. Just no real overtaking spots. He's looking, but can't commit to the move. He's not close enough. And Vermeulen is very much entitled to fight for that position. Doesn't have to get out of the way as Nicholas overtakes Fatal as well. That was for P3. Got that done before Puon, actually. Coming out to turn 11. Towards turns 12 and 13. How desperate will Dalton be? Won't go for a move here. Won't go for a move here either. Fatal drops down to 5th place now behind Cameron. It's lost a few places. No obvious wing damage on the Haas. Maybe he's just got unlucky. He's just been shafted out of positions. Barber's now caught onto the back of this train. There's Vermeulen and Rick battling for P7 and 8. Around Blanchimont. Up towards the bus stop chicane. No Cap pits. Be moving on to the medium tyre. Through the bus stop. Up towards La Source. Barber setting fastest laps. Looking quick. Dalton still can't get by. No Cap. He'll come out in 8th. Or potentially 9th here. There's Profodes. Or running wide at pit exit. That's alright. Wasn't endangering anybody. Here comes Nicholas for the race lead. Gets it rather easily. Cameron trying to get by as well, looking to the inside. And he gets it done. Yellow flag's about. It's Fatal. He's around. It's pointed back in the right direction. Yeah, very safe rejoin there from Fatal. Nicely done. Profodes will get by as well. Yeah, Fatal can't put up too much resistance to this. Slide in behind the McLaren. So our provisional race leader is actually Cameron here, who pitted just after the VSC ended that we had a few moments earlier. Latifi lets him by. Probably a wise thing to do. Just let Cameron go and take off into the distance. Latifi will have his hands full with these older tyres, with Blade, Barber and Dalton closing in. Blade overtaken by Barber. Dalton closing in too. And he gets well out of the way. He doesn't want to fight. Fair enough. Just slide in behind and watch the show. Through the bus stop. Turns 18 and 19. See the debris that's been left there by Ray, who had a moment earlier in the race that brought out a virtual safety car. Dalton sets fastest lap. So the battle's definitely on at the front. How will Barber tackle this? He knows that Latifi will essentially act as a barrier between himself and Cameron out in front. And he won't be able to close in. Both cars have DRS. And Latifi, I thought he was going to back off, and he did eventually. Drew alongside and just backed off and let Cameron stay in front. So Barmer has to try and pass the Great Wall of Nicholas Latifi. How is this going to work? Towards No Name. I think for Barmer, he has to try and overtake. Oh, in an unorthodox spot. You can see Cameron using the esports line as well at the exit of No Name. Kitten Petter gets by Fatal. That was for 9th place. Up towards 12 and 13. He's looking. Not committing to a move though, but he's right on the back of Nicholas. Around turn 13, avoiding that inside curb. Fatal, a 3-second time penalty. Around turn 14, ending the middle sector. The gap's now 1.5 seconds between Cameron and Latifi, so Latifi now is going to be incredibly vulnerable down the Kemmel Straight, and he won't be able to hold up these two. I'm right on board with Dalton. This might be a more interesting view. Up towards the bus stop chicane. Hard on the brakes. Down to 3rd gear. Keeping it in 3rd. Nice and steady. There's Blade just behind in the Alfa Romeo. Barmer closing in. Won't go for a move though here at turn 1. See Dalton just trying to fill Barmer's mirrors. Just telling him, mate, I'm here. I'm right here. You make a mistake, I'm having you. The gap is now 2 seconds between Cameron and Latifi as well, as Fatal retires in the pit lane. Another one. Down the Kemmel Straight. Barmer, Dalton will open DRS, and Dalton's got to run. He's closing in. It might be 3 wide, not quite. So Barmer gets through. Dalton trying to fight around the outside. Contact spinning. Goes Latifi. Oh, and he rejoins. Oh, this is going to get interesting. Here comes No Cap and Preferred. Hello, you two. Down the hill towards turn 8. No Cap. Will he go for a move? No. Doesn't have the run. Oh, Preferred's looking to the inside. A cheeky move. Can he make it work? The answer is no. There was a door open for him to go through, but he didn't have quite enough momentum to try and get his McLaren in front. So at the end of that little melee between those two, Preferred's had to back out of it. Down towards turn 14. Latifi, No Cap and Preferred. Yellow flags, it's Game Boy. Off the racetrack. Rejoined safely. So the gap between the top two has shrunk. But quite a bit actually. 1.3 seconds now. Used to be upwards of 2 seconds. So Barmer and Dalton looking pretty rapid right now. No Cap getting by Latifi. He's trying to fight, but on those old tyres, there's not much he can do. He won't have DRS here either. So he has to settle for 8 for now, but he does have... he will get DRS down the Kemmel Straight. Oh, dearie me. Well, he might not have gotten DRS if he slammed that thing into the wall, but fortunately he didn't do that. He's pretty close to. As Game Boy retires from the session. Man, a lot of people don't want to race today. Into turn 5, then 6. Well, we're down to 13 cars and we've still got half the race to go. Down the hill around No Name. Blade and Vermu, a small battle here. Got No Cap and Preferred's battling. Latifi's losing time, but that's understandable. Ooh, as Cameron gets a 3-second time penalty. Barmer, 1.3 seconds behind. So they closed in by a bit. Maybe Cameron made a mistake when I wasn't watching and the gap shrunk. That could be a very real possibility. Because now the top 3 seem pretty even in terms of pace. Peyton has left the session as well. through turns 18 and 19. We'll open DRS, and there is Scorenzi getting out of the way. And that's Lopez off the racetrack at Pouon. He rejoins. He's now a long, long way behind. Scorenzi just sort of in the middle of this, trying to get out of the way. Does a pretty nice job of it. Just lets them all through. There's Cameron, our race leader. 1.4 seconds in the gap, and here comes Dalton. To the outside, he gets it done pretty easily. You can tell from the flashing red light at the back of both cars. Both Dalton and Barmer are pretty low on battery, so they've spent a fair bit. Kettenpata getting by Latifi as well. Falling down through the order like a stone in water. Not having a great time on those tyres. Down the hill towards Pouon. Preferred's keeping this small battle alive. And now they're closing on this battle for P4 on track. Being led by Vermouth, followed by Blade. And there's No Cap. He's within a second now, and so is Dalton. Oh, he's just outside of that 1 second range now. Look at that. Almost exactly a second between the top two. Towards Blanchimont. Gap is now 9 tenths. Now 8.5 tenths. Both cars flashing red lights on the back of the car. Both are very low on battery. Around turn 19. We'll open DRS again. And close the gap up to Cameron. Around the hairpin of turn 1. Into the pits goes Vermouth and Blade. Latifi stays out. Maybe he'll try and stretch these tyres out for as long as he can until a safety car comes out. Might as well try and gamble, try and do something. Preferred's closing in. So is Dalton down the Camel Straight. Not by enough though to try and challenge our race leader. But he's now within half a second of Cameron. Can try and plan an attack to try and go for the outright lead. Here goes Preferred's, and all spinning. Great catch there from Preferred's. He was riding that inside curve at turn 5, which is notorious for spinning cars out. He did briefly lose control, but he snapped the car back. Snapped it back. I have completely lost my train of thought. He snapped it back out of the slide and got it going again without losing too much time. That is what I was supposed to say. Just completely lost my train of thought. 7.5 tenths separating the top two. Cameron, I don't think he'd be pulling away anymore. He's got slightly older tyres as well, so it's going to be tough for him to pull away. So this is it, the battle for first rather. We have got 7 laps to go. Lap 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. Those are the laps we have left. With the laps ticking over, we've got a less likely chance of a safety car coming out. Nicholas pits. He'll be moving on to the soft compound tyre. Leaves the pit box. Gets on his way. Now down in the 11th spot. And he'll stay in 11th as well. Lopez a bit too far behind. 6 tenths separating the top two. Barmer pretty close to Dalton here, heading down towards turn 8. He's not in a position to pass, but he is in a position to try and apply pressure to Dalton. Through turn 9 and heading down the hill towards Pouon, turn 10. The gap is 3 tenths, using up a little bit of battery. Around Pouon. Around turn 11. Then towards turns 12 and 13. The gap 2.5 tenths. 4th gear. Back on the power. Keeping it in 4th. Using a little bit of that inside curb. A little bit of outside curb. Around turn 14. Dalton just pulling away just ever so slightly. So these three pretty even at this stage in terms of pace. Not too much separates them. Hopefully this gives us a fairly interesting conclusion for this race, as Vermeer gets a 3-second time penalty. Through the bus stop. Gap is 5.5 tenths. Oh, Dalton switched off DRS just briefly then. Turned it on, then he turned it off, then he turned it back on again. Around La Source. Now down the hill towards Eau Rouge and Radillon. Gap 6 tenths. Won't be close enough to attack here. In fact, Cameron pulled away by a little bit down that straightaway. And Barmer is awfully close here. We're going to have a drag race down the Camel Straight towards Lake Om. And Dalton's not winning it. Through goes Barmer 22 into second. The gap's 4 tenths now between the top two. Down the hill towards Rivage. Turn 8. On the brakes. Gap shrinks just a little bit. It's now 3 tenths between the top two. Down the hill towards Pouin. You can see Cameron utilising that esports line at the exit of turn 9, where they use that strip of AstroTurf on the outside to try and straighten out the exit of turn 9. You don't gain much. You gain a few hundredths here or there when you utilise that. Oh, losing the back end just a little bit. Around turn 15, heading up the hill towards Blanchimont. Yellow flag says Lopez has crashed out at the top of Radillon. And we have a safety car. We have a safety car. Even with the laps remaining, we have a safety car. So when these fellas cross the line, it'll be 5 laps to go. We're going to be doing a few of them behind the safety car. And into the pits we go. You got to pit. Get those soft tyres bolted on. It's now going to be a sprint race between these guys. In comes No Cap, in comes Profodes, Kit and Petta. Maybe these three don't have to pit. Those tyres are still relatively fresh. So maybe they don't need to. Well, Vermeer is not going to pit. Blade is. Well then. Oh no, pull up behind the safety car. Yellow light. Oh, hello Dalton. We almost had an accident behind the safety car. Fortunately, nothing major came from it. Yeah, when you see that yellow light, that yellow middle light on the safety car, you're not allowed to pass it. Must stay behind. Alrighty. Well, this race has been given a shot of adrenaline. We've now got a sprint race to the checkered flag. The only fella who's not going to be part of this sprint is Scorenzi. He's a lap down, unfortunately, and he'll be relying on other drivers crashing out in order for him to finish in the points, which is entirely possible with a sprint-like race around Spa. Now, how many laps will we be spending behind this thing? Will we spend another lap behind the safety car? Or will it go out? No, we're spending another lap, right. So let's break down this scenario that's about to take place. Everyone except for Scorenzi, who is a lap down, is on relatively fresh soft compound tyres. Well, everyone's on fresh tyres except for Vermeer. He's the only one on worn soft tyres. Everyone's on fresh rubber. Don't need to worry about tyres. Penalties are going to play a big part in this race. So, Cameron, our race leader, our current race leader, has got 3 seconds. Vermoo has got 3 seconds as well. Mitch Burns in 8th has 3 seconds. Same with Racing Fan in 9th. Those are the only 4 drivers at the moment with penalties. Now, in terms of championship scenario, our current championship leader, Andy Wu, crashed out of the race. We saw that happen towards the beginning of the race, so he's not going to score any points. The person who's second in the championship is the man who's currently second right now, Barmer 22, and the man in front of him has got a time penalty. So this is a really good shot for him to score max points here, especially when you consider who has fastest lap. Oh, it's Vermoo. Well, I imagine that fastest lap point is going to be taken away from Vermoo with everyone on fresh tyres. So people are going to be very fast, setting quali-like lap times. So it'll be interesting to see who does get fastest lap at the end of the day. The man who is third in the championship is the man who's third on track, Dalton. He's on 55 points compared to Barmer on 75. So if Barmer manages to win this race and scores 25 points, he will take the lead, and by quite some margin too. By about 18 points to Andy. So this is going to be a fairly hefty blow for Andy, unless trouble strikes for Barmer and or Dalton. Which is entirely possible. We had a race at Azerbaijan where Barmer crashed on the last lap, exiting the castle section. Looking for a really big result, Barmer, and then he threw it away. So, although we've only got a few laps until the checkered flag, you can't relax. You must remain focused. Especially around a racetrack like this, like Spa-Francorchamps, where you can crash just about anywhere. So, alrighty. Safety car in this lap. So there goes the Mercedes safety car. Will go back into its home in the pit lane. Get this race back underway. Cameron will control the field. See drivers trying to get temperature into their tyres. Basically reduce the field speed to a crawl, essentially. Trying to give as much space to the safety car to try and get back into the pits. Alrighty. Barmer, he needs to react as best he can as well. Try and get by Cameron. And more importantly, create space to that guy, Dalton, who at this stage is his biggest challenger for the race win. And there goes Cameron, he takes off. Well before the bus stop chicane. On the brakes. Gets it through the bus stop. Head down the main straight. And we're now back under green flag racing. We have 3 laps to go here at Spa, and the gap at the front is half a second, so a nice start from Cameron. Dalton almost a second behind Barmer. He needs to try and close that gap up as soon as possible. Vermoo's almost a second behind as well. Then there's no cap. Profodes, Kitten Petter in the Ferrari. Then it's Mitch Burns and Racing Fan. Both have penalties to try and overcome. Blade is right on the back of Racing Fan, exiting Radion. He's going to try and pass. Cameron is under a bit of pressure from Barmer, but he's not close enough to try and go for a move. Blade trying to find a way by. He's unable to do so, so he stays in 10th place. Then there's Nicholas Latifi in 11th. Cameron leading the way through No Name, turn 9, then down the hill towards turn 10. You can see that esports line being fully utilised there. Half a second. Separating these two. Barmer has to put up with a bit of dirty air coming off the Red Bull in front. So it's expected that he will lose a little bit of time to Cameron here. But so long as he stays within a second, he has a shot to take outright victory and not just let penalties do the talking. Though, he can just stay behind Cameron till the checkered flag. Very wise thing to do, but then you have Dalton potentially pressuring you behind. Dalton, he's still hovering at that 1 second range. Needs to get within it. Especially for that final lap. That's when it will all count. No cap, right on the back of Vermeulen, through the bus stop. Heading up towards turn 1. Cameron setting fastest lap. 1 minute 43.252. So he takes that point. Around La Source, turn 1. No cap. Right on the back of the Mercedes-Benz. The Vermeulen gets a pretty decent exit out of turn 1. Will No Cap find a way by into turn 5? We'll go through a Rouge and Radillon. Sitting right in the slipstream, dumping his battery. Down the Camel Straight we go. If he's going to pass, he's got to do it the old-fashioned way. He looks to the inside. Is he going to be committed? He is. They're side-by-side through turn 5. Into turn 6, Vermeulen has to cut the corner. Rejoins safely, but he's now down in P6 behind Profodes. Around the sweeper, turn 8. Oh, No Cap runs wide. So does Profodes just a little bit. Around No Name. Down the hill towards Pouon. The gap opens up to almost 6/10 between P4 and 5. Speaking of which, that's the gap between the top 2. And Dalton's still not within a second. He needs a mega final part of this lap. Try and close in on Barmer. Heading around turn 15. The gap 8/10 between the top 2. The gap 9/10 between P2 and 3. No Cap, he's got Profodes right behind. There's 4th and 5th. There's Vermeulen 6th, then Kit and Petter. Through the bus stop for the second last time. Drivers now make their way onto the pitch straight. It's now the final lap. Lap 22 of 22. Kit and Petter has found a way by Vermeulen. He's into 6th. Around turn 1, La Source. Then down the hill. It's important that these drivers get all they can out of the exit of turn 1. I think all 3 drivers did a pretty good job of that. Vermeulen and Mitch battling for P7 as well. They both had penalties, so that's a genuine fight for position. Barmer, he'll open DRS and close the gap to Cameron. But he's completely run out of battery. Will he go for the move? No, is the answer. Dalton's far enough behind so then he won't be troubling Barmer. Profodes, No Cap, side by side through turn 6 up towards turn 7. They're still side by side. Heading down the hill towards turn 8. They're still side by side. Profodes has to hang it round the long way, but he keeps the car alongside. Now he backs out of it. No Cap gets in front. Through No Name, turn 9. Then down the hill towards Pouon. There's Kit and Petter just behind in P6. Dalton within half a second of Barmer. He's got very few opportunities to try and get by. The only real shot of him getting by is into the bus stop chicane. He needs to pull off a miracle here. And he's right on the back of Barmer. The gap is 2/10 of a second. This is the battle for the lead. We're heading up towards Blanchimont for the final time. It's flat out through this left-hander. Up towards the bus stop chicane. Dalton has one opportunity to try and get by. He sends it in and he'll have the inside line for the final corner. He gets the nose in front of Barmer. It's a drag race up towards the line. Who takes the win? It'll be Barmer as Dalton spins out. He lost control of the car and he'll cross the line in 3rd. He doesn't even get 2nd at the end of the race. Cameron gets 2nd at the end with that spin that he made. He desperately went for it, but it didn't work. Barmer ends up taking the win. Well, there we are. An interesting conclusion. Oh, a headless Red Bull. I haven't seen that one. A headless Red Bull there sitting on the 2nd spot of the podium. Barmer 22 takes the win. The Invisible Man takes 2nd. In 3rd place will be Rick Dalton. There we are. And Cameron took fastest lap as a result. So it won't be a full complement of points for Barmer. But with the amount he scored, he will take the lead in the Drivers' Championship. by 18 points over Andy Wu. Cameron P2. Rick Dalton put the car on pole position, ended up finishing third at the end of this race. No Cap fourth, followed by Profodes in fifth. Kitten Petter in sixth place. Blade in seventh. Nice effort from him to come up from 13th to 7th. Nicholas Latifi from 16th to 8th. Vermeer starting from the back, finishing 9th in the points, and Mitch Burns completing the top 10. Outside the 10 we have Racing Fan, then Scorenzi in 12th. Retirements: Lopez, Game Boy, Fatal, Dream, Express, Peyton, Ray, and our championship leader, or former championship leader, Andy Wu. So 8 retirements over the course of this one. 12 cars finished. And a tight finish right at the end of the Grand Prix, resulting in Barmer 22 taking the win. I know. Fun race. As it typically is here at Spa. Good reason why it's revered as one of the best racetracks in the world. Just creates awesome racing. It's always good fun. Very rarely is it boring. Oh. Damn near ripped my vocal cords out with that last bit. Quite exciting to watch. Rightio, folks. An interesting Grand Prix comes to an end. Now I've got to look forward to next week. Oh. But I think with everything said and done, it's finally time for us to end the stream. Till next time, I've been Lane Everingham. Thank you all so much for watching. And we'll see you next week for round 9 of the AM1 Championship at the Hungaroring for the Hungarian Grand Prix. Hungaroring can be an interesting place to watch racing. Sometimes it's very, very boring, as you might expect from a racetrack that has the nickname of the what's the nickname? It's oh goodness, a proper road track that's like Monaco. It's like that, but it's not that. It's a Monaco style circuit. It's very tight, it's very twisty, it's very difficult to pass, basically. But even so, it's at times very interesting to watch racing. So basically what I'm saying is be optimistic for next week. But until then, it's goodbye.